good morning or good afternoon. Today, two of our own members, John Severson and Megan Bayard-Caraba, both employed at the Muskegon Area Intermediate School District, are going to be our presenters, and they are going to update us on a program that is coordinated through the ISD known as the Muskegon Area Promise. Many of you are familiar with this, but we will hear an update today on the success as the first cohort of students will be completing the program. And so I'm going to turn it over to John and Megan, following just a brief little background on each. They both have been educators for all of their careers. Megan has been in Muskegon for 24 years and has been working at the ISD for the last 9, I believe, as the college access specialist. And this program is a big part of what she does, but she has other responsibilities. And John has been with the Muskegon ISD for the last 7 years, having worked in education as well in Portage and Battle Creek for a number of years, and both of them in a number of different roles in education leadership and teaching at different levels and leading at different levels. So many, many years of experience in the field of education, and we value that. Thank you so much for being with us today to update us on this. And I'm going to just let you tell us. So we've been doing this program here in Muskegon for a number of years. Tell us what it is and why it's important.
Well, thanks for having us, and we're very excited to be here. And I wish we were all at our big conference room, because that's probably the best place to, share the fellowship. And I would just like to first start out with that the Muskegon Area Promise is healthy. It's being successful. So proud that Rotary is a part of this as well. Some of you may remember one of our initial fundraisers. Rotary was involved. And this is all about building talent, and it's really looking into the future for Muskegon County. And to have a whole county be able to have a promise is pretty amazing. And we stand in a very good position to continue to build talent. We know that in our county, about 32% of our students, or our population, has an associate's degree, a certificate, or a bachelor's degree. And we need to be over 60%. We need to be over 60% to compete with not just Michigan, but with the world. So everything that we are focused on is building talent for our area. And just to kick it off, the why was always about building talent and really directing to the future for all of our kids. But it's also about making this a great community to live in, to work in, and to play in. And so every part of what we do starts right at birth to get our kids to this place called the Promise. So Megan, what do you think? We've been great partners in this work. And we've seen it since 2015, some people longer than that since I've been here, but what's your take?
Right. I could not agree more. John, when you mention the word talent, when we think of the Muskegon Area Promise, we think of talent, and it determines our future, right? And so as we built a place-based scholarship that we know and love and call the Muskegon Area Promise, I just want to give you a primer on the Promise. The Promise is a post-high school scholarship, right? It's a set of dollars. It's an award that students receive after high school that works in collaboration with state and federal dollars, institutional dollars, and all of that makes up the opportunity to create this talent that is credentialed and will help lift our community forward. Our Promise is operated by a Promise Zone. We are one of 15 zones in the state of Michigan. Many of you may have heard us talk about this a lot, and Muskegon area is one of those zones, and we serve 16 high schools. So we're operated by legislation. We have to, follow law as it pertains to Promise Zone workings, and we do have a board that helps drive everything that we know about our Promise Award. It also is an opportunity. I mentioned the 16 school districts. We have hundreds of students finding themselves eligible every year from those 16 high schools. They have to graduate with a 3.5 grade point average or higher and work and live within the boundaries of our ISD. So it is quite a robust gift that we have here in our community that has talent as its number one backbone, right? And the number one reason. Dr. Severson mentioned our why, and that why is really that talent driven decision. So one of the other things that I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about is how we are affording the promise, right? And investing in that talent that John and I speak of. And we have an incredible amount of support through commitment in this great community. We have corporate support from our initial purveyors in Heinz Corporation and Nichols and ADAC and Alcoa or Howmet or Arconic, right? The foundation that we've seen from that industry. We have so many gold level donors and bronze level and silver level. We have so much infrastructure and support from some of our committed corporations. It's incredible. We also have a lot of family support. We have families who have really given themselves and their assets to our promise that have really helped round out, our promise award that we have. And lastly, we have public dollars that are coming into our promise that are part of that promise zone state legislation that help round out our awards. And John, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about that public dollar, that SET support. Maybe you could help lend a little bit of insight on what that looks like.
Yes, thank you, Megan. And we generated about 2.4 million of donations. And the way the promise worked at the very beginning, there were 3 districts that were first in, Holton, Muskegon Heights, and Muskegon. And the tax capture worked on our mills. And so we levy about 6 mills, and about half of the difference between growth stays back in our county. So there's no taxes raised on any Muskegon resident. The funds stay back in our county. So half of that growth on those mills stays back, and the founding year was 2014. So if you could all go back to 2014, property values were not probably the best. We were coming out of the recession. Today we've had a lot of growth, and in the first few years, we did well. We generated about $600,000. In 2020, we generated 1.5 million toward the promise. So the promise right now is very healthy. To give you just an understanding of how far we've come, and I remember Megan and I talking to Rotary and our foundation and a number of community groups. 2015, we had 15 students take the promise, and in 2020, we had 564, and that was new and returning students. We're finding about 27% of our graduates are eligible in the county with a 4.5, and just about half of them are accepting that promise to stay local. So really easy way to understand is that half of that mill difference profit is staying back, and from 2014 to 2020, we're always looking back at that baseline year. So with the economy strong, property values up, we have a very healthy promise, and we've done some things within that promise to keep it healthy so we can make sure students can continue receiving it. The other piece that Megan might want to touch on too is we've seen an increase of students percent-wise, a GPA starting to increase. We have a huge persistency level, meaning how many students are staying, in school. colleges average about 50% that may drop away. Our persistence rate is about 90%, which is unheard of. So we are having students stay local, and it's having a lot of positive effect on the schools themselves. Imagine putting 564 students back in school with a 3.5 at a community college, at Baker College. We're taking our very best, and it's making all areas improve. So that tax capture is really the foundation. And the way the legislation was written, we had to raise those funds. And I think some of you, remember being at Rotary meetings when we were talking about raising those funds, and we said, if we do this right, it is sustainable. And we're so proud to be able to say that today. It is sustainable with how the system, how our board has managed these funds, and that tax capture base. Just from 2017, just over 600,000 to 2020, $1.5 million.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
It is amazing, Jackie. You're right. And, one of the things that comes to mind when I mentioned that we are fully funded through incredible commitment, right? The corporate sponsors, the family sponsors, and the foundation sponsors. And part of what we were able to do with the help of Rotary is create that that sweet spot for our Promise Award in the Muskegon area. So we're incredibly grateful for all of those connections that we have, but especially our state connection, right? Those SET dollars that come in are in such large amounts, it certainly helps the program that we hope to offer our students. And, funded in different ways, whether we're private or public, we have to be accountable to those dollars. And we want to make sure that we're measuring the success and sharing the success. Part of what we're doing today is sharing the success that we have seen. And John has mentioned a couple of things that we want to really make sure that folks know about, that we are really super proud of because our students are incredible and making a difference. When we think about measuring success for the Promise, it's really two buckets. We look at student success, and we also look at financial success, right? And how do we measure both of those? And the student success is exactly what John had mentioned. Our rate of eligibility, our rate of participation, are they staying local and utilizing the award, and our rate of persistence. John had mentioned already that we have incredible amounts of students who are staying local, right? We've got on average 27% of our kids are eligible, 47% are taking us up on it, right? They're staying local. And on a national statistic, we know that 24% of a high achieving student with a grade point average of 3.5 or higher are going to a community college. 24%, that's a national statistic. And in Muskegon, we have 47% of our kids staying local, utilizing their award, and keeping their rigor and their commitment to our local colleges. That's incredible. The other thing that's incredible is that persistence rate that John had mentioned. 90% of our kids who go 1 year are going 2. And that is incredible because that's how we get to credentials. That's how we get folks with licenses, certificates, associate's degrees, right? That's what's going to move the needle forward to help our talent demand and our need to rise our economy. Okay, so we're super excited about that. The other piece of how we measure our success is, of course, our financial success. We've had incredible success with private donations. John had mentioned just over $2.4 million that we've raised since 2015. We're super excited about that. We also have on-time payments, estimations okay with our SET, that tax growth, that public funding feature that we have as a Promise zone. So we're really happy with that. And then, of course, our rate to attend a community college. Legislatively, we are bound to offer our students a scholarship that matches our community college cost of attendance. And so we're happy to see that the cost of attendance at our community college here locally has been one of the best in the state. And what we know for 21-22 school year is there's a freeze on all charges. So no rate increases, right? And our students will be able to rely on those dollars and not see anything increase or cause the attendance to look a little differently. So we're excited about all of those things, all of the possibilities that we have, and certainly the successes. And you know, considering the year that we've had, pandemic related, we have had incredible success. We had last year, our students, about 47, I mentioned, stayed local. 47% of those eligible stayed local. And this year, while we don't know how many are going to stay local yet, students are still making those decisions. We had an increase in eligibility. And this is despite a pandemic, right? We had 31% of our kids eligible this year for our Promise Award, which we're super thrilled about, because with all the stresses that we have, right, with our academics and what's happening in our school world and choices that students are making for post-secondary access, we are thrilled to know that the Promise can be there to help. So, John, are we going too fast, Jackie? Do you want to ask?
I bet she has some questions for us.
Let me ask you one question. Do you have a sense of the fields that the students are pursuing?
We do. I'm glad you asked. I have so much sense of what's going on in our Promise world. I have the luxury of just making those connections with students and understanding everything it is that we know about them. And to answer your question, Jackie, what are they studying? We've got about 33% of our students who are studying in the health science field. Okay, so 33% of our enrolled kiddos are in a health track. And you know what that is? That is music to Mercy's ears, right? They are looking at this as talent development for their endeavors, right? Which is fantastic. Awesome. We love to see those partnerships. We've got about another 14% in the human service field in education. So we have students interested in social work or in elementary education or secondary education, right? We have another 27%. This is a large sliver who really don't know yet. And they're under general studies and they're trying to figure themselves out, right? Which makes sense. They're 18, right? They're trying to understand where is their fit. And so that experience in our community college or at Baker College, as they learn what they love and what they hate, is really an important piece for us to provide for them as they start to carve out what does adulthood look like for them and where might they land. You know, one thing we do also know about our Promise Scholars is 80% of them have self-disclosed that they would like to transfer to a university. We have many of our students attending community college that want to transfer on, maybe to Ferris or to Western or to Grand Valley or to U of M, or maybe it's out of state, right? They might have all kinds of aspirations. So we want to make sure that we are setting themselves up for that. But we're super excited that they do have those plans. We have, yes.
Just to add, and I think this is really important, Jackie, because members will want to know this, is we know the challenges that we face as a county, and mental health is one of them. So with working with the districts, and our superintendents have been awesome. This has been an amazing partnership with businesses and such. We've gone from 3 to 23 mental health clinicians in our county. We have 6 career specialists that are ISD, really lends out to work with businesses, but also get students these opportunities. We've created virtual fairs so they can get into places and see what jobs look like. We have now 7 literacy coaches and 2 math coaches. If it went back to 2015, we had a couple consultants. Everything that we are focused on is about getting those kids to that high school level where they can be in a position to get the Promise. And I will say that the Promise is just one group. You know, we have so much going on with the College Access Network work that Megan does. We now work with the Fry Foundation. We have a diversity, equity, and inclusion type position to really go after those students from poverty or who are in situations where they don't get the support. We're really targeting those kinds of things because we want every kid to have this possibility. And I just wanted to thank Megan for her work in this area. It's just been amazing. And we're on the right track.
I need to thank you both for today, and we have to turn it over to the main meeting now. But thank you so much for all this information, and we look forward to having you back again to share further updates as the program grows. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.